Hey y'all, it's Rob at Z Motorsports. Thought I'd show y'all how to replace a broken wheel stud. Yeah, I happened to snap one off the other day. Anyways, whatever. They're quick and easy. This is on the rear of my 2006 Mitsubishi Eclipse GT. Should be the same for the GS. Anyways, to get the stud out, you've got to drive it out the back side of the disc. So to get to it, now mine's already, everything's loose and apart, so you'll have to do a little more work than mine's going to show. 14mm socket on the back side. There's two bolts, one here, the other one is down here. Sorry, filming with one hand and working with the other. Anyways, 14mm, take them loose, they'll slide out. Okay, set them aside. Pull this assembly off. Now this is going to have your hydraulic hose on it. Just bring it up, set it out of the way. You don't want to fall and hang on the hose. Mine's braided steel, but you don't want to hang on the hose. It'll tear and damage it. Brakes are kind of important on the car. Anyways, you'll need to pull your brake pads out. They just slide off the clips. I already got the back one off. And what I'll do is I'll set them behind the car, set them face up. Outer on the outside, inner on the inside. Just an easy way. That way when you're grabbing stuff, you're not having to figure it out. Anyways, now you have to remove the brake holder. Again, it's two 14mm bolts. There's one up top, one down below. And there you go. Take that off. And then your rotor's loose, so it will slide right on off. Now, you'll notice this is your parking brake. Okay, check it while you're in here. If your shoes are shot, go ahead and get some new ones. Mine are marginal, but I'm not going to do it at this particular point. I mean, it's only a half-hour job to put new ones in. If you've never done rear shoes, you might want to leave it to someone else, just because getting all these stupid springs and clips back in there can be a pain. So anyways, back to the stud. You'll notice that this stud is on your axle. Well, you can position it, or if you look, there's a holes and gaps back in here. All you do is you spin your hub so you get lined up with one of those points. Now, some people are going to say, no, you don't smack them out with the axle on the car. I've never had an issue, but this is a DIY, risk yourself. So, alright, I got to pause it because I forgot to get a hammer. Okay, got a hammer. So anyways, since it takes two hands, one to be balanced and one to swing the hammer, basically, like I said, I just lined it up where there was some gap in behind, smacked it with a hammer, two smacks, and it popped out. Just a regular claw hammer works. If that doesn't work, get you a BFH, bigger friggin' hammer, and get it knocked out of there. So I'm going to pause it again, get this stud maneuvered out of there, get the other stud maneuvered in, and I'll be back in a sec. Alright, well, we've moved on a little bit here. Got the other one out. I actually found it was easier to go ahead and drop the adjuster out the bottom and the spring. So what it is, there's a spring that goes between, there's all kinds of springs in here, that goes between the bottom of the two pads that keep them pulled in against the adjuster. What the adjuster does is, like, it's your preset, you know, so there's a little hooks on there, and then the inner shaft is threaded. What it does is it spreads your pads out, so that way when you're pulling your handle up, you actually have brake. If this isn't adjusted right, you pull your parking brake up and they never engage, because as these wear, the pad material gets smaller, so they can't make contact with the outside of the drum. Anyway, so I just disconnected the spring from there, slid this shoe out a little bit, that'll pull out, it'll just go back in real quick and easy, just a pair of new ones. Anyways, now what I've done is I've got the new stud just setting in there, just slides it in from behind. I've got just a big ass nut and washer in there, and then I've got one of my lug nuts in there. Now the reason for the top two lug nuts and my pry bar here is as you're tightening this down, what you're doing is you tighten it down, you're pulling it into your hub. As you tighten that down, of course, this is going to spin around. It's just a free spinning hub. So by putting the two lug nuts in here, I don't mess up threads on existing, and it'll stop this from spinning. Okay. Now you don't have to draw it all the way in, because once you put your tire on, you can draw it the rest of the way in, but you want to draw it in enough. Yeah, alright, so it takes two hands. Anyways, you want to draw it in enough so that it starts to center itself and it stays and holds. Then when you put the tire and everything back on, when you torque your wheel on, it'll draw that the rest of the way in. Yes, I said torque. Torque your lug nuts to 75 foot-pounds. Don't just bang them on with an air hammer. Anyways, I'll get this pulled in. I'll be back in a sec. Alright, there we go. The new one's drawn in most of the way. This is the new one here. I don't know if you can tell, hold on. If you look at behind, see it's not quite drawn all the way in. That's fine, because once you put everything back together and put your wheel on, you'll be able to tell which is your newer one. Just make sure that when you're torquing the thing on that you hit it several times with the torque, so that way you can make sure it pulls all the way in, because you'll pull it in, it'll loosen up a little bit, you'll pull it in, it'll loosen a little bit. So just take your time on this one to make sure that you get it pulled all the way in. That's it. Everything else goes back together just in reverse order. Hope this helps y'all, and have a good day.